Everyone who's watching this video. My name is Tigran and welcome to Code Review. So this time we are going through a game, a code I wrote for a PONG game. So I think you know that game. It is this game. I made it 2-player, and now we are going to see how I did this. So let's see what we have here. So first of all, as you see, we have a screen here that waits. So the game doesn't start until you press space, and also we have a 3-pixel border here to both show canvas size, and also it is more beautiful in this way. Then we have 2 players, red and blue, 2 scores, red score and blue score here. In the middle we have a yellow line, and we have a pink ball here, square. And we hear sounds, different sounds when the ball hits one players or hits wall, or when someone scores. So this is the sound. So let's see how all of this is done. So for HTML we just have basic code here, and here is the code for green border. And we have 1300 pixels width and 600 height for canvas. So here I have a random function which returns a random number, and I made another function called randSign, which gives a random 1 or -1, so it gives a random plus or minus sign. Here I have new images and new audios. The images of players, ball and audios. You hear when ball hits one of the players or the wall. Here I have shortcuts for WS up and down or space keys for event listener. And here I have game data, an object which has different objects in it. Player 1 with X, Y, width and height, and player 2. As you see, they both have up and down booleans. So let me show what they are. In the end I have 2 event listeners, key down and key up. So whenever WS or up or down keys are pressed, player 1 up or down or those of player 2 become true, and when key is released, they will become back false. So I will show what those true and false mean later. Here I have a ball with specific X and Y and width and height, but random X delta and Y delta. So X delta is always 8 in the beginning, and it is either +8 or -8 with this random sign. Y delta also is either plus or minus. It is random. It is randomly picked between 1 and 5, and it is added 5, because if I didn't add this 5, the ball would go straight, and the game would be very easy and boring. I have score 1 and 2 here, those 2 scores of players, and now other 2 booleans game started and is score, about which I will talk a bit later. Here I have shortcuts for player 1, player 2 and ball. Instead of writing game data dot player 1, I will just write player 1. Same for others. Context font size is 100 pixel and font is Arial. That is for this text here. And fill style is yellow, because as you see the text is yellow. For ball movement, here I have a function ball movement. So let me start from the very beginning of the code. So everything starts when I press space, because until I press space, nothing is working here. So I have here context fill text, press space to start this text here, and inside my event listener I have a key down event, and it waits until I press space key. If game data dot game started is false, which is right here, game started, if it is false, when I press space it will become true. So it will only work once. So whenever I press space, the draw function will be called and everything will begin from here. So this is my draw function, and it is constantly looped. So I don't have a loop function which will request animation frame and be called again. I have a draw and everything is looping inside draw. So first of all, it clears the canvas to draw everything again. First with a yellow stroke style, stroke color and 3 widths, it draws the central line here, this line here. Then until here it is drawing the line. Then it draws the images of first and second players and ball with their axis, y's, widths and heights. Then with a red color it draws the first score. As you see, I have 2 conditionals here for first score. If game data score first is smaller than 10, it will draw the score with 550 coordinates of x, but if it is bigger than 10, it will draw on 500. Let me show why. If as you see, the score is here, but if I instead of 0 make the score, let's say 10, and I don't have this thing here, let's do this. So for example, I don't do all of this here. Like this. As you see, the score goes a bit left, because if I don't do that, the score will go through here and it will be very ugly. So then after drawing, it draws the score 2 with blue color and calls the function update. Sorry. So the first update function checks if player 1 that up is true, so which means if W key is pressed. If so, first player's position will be decreased by 10, so it will go up by 10. If the player 1 that down is true, it will go down by 10. Same for player 2. So this is how the player's movement is done. Then here I have if player first position is smaller than 0, so which means if it goes more up than the border of canvas, it will be transport back. It will change its position back to 0, because otherwise it will leave the canvas and go away. Same for second player. And after this, after checking if after doing the movement of the players, ball movement function gets called. So it is here. Balls x and y are changed regarding x delta and y delta. Then if y is smaller than 0, which means it hits the ball, its y delta will be changed back to minus y delta, and ball hit sound will be played, the sound you hear when ball hits the wall. Same for the bottom border. Then I have this big conditional here, which stands for when the ball hits the right player. So whenever it hits the right side player, its balls x delta will be increased by 1, so it will become a bit faster, and balls x delta will be changed will change its sign, and it will move on the left side, and we will hear the sound of hitting the second player. And for the first player everything is the same, except x delta is being decreased by 1, because its sign is minus, and if it gets increased by 1, when it changes back its sign, we will get a smaller result. Here I have, if x delta is bigger than or equal to 25, it will be changed back to 24, because otherwise the ball will become too fast, and it will go through the player here, and the game will be unfair. Just then I have the conditionals for scoring here. If ball gets through the right side here, and E score is false, E score will become true, because if I don't have this part here, when the ball goes through here, we will get continuous change of score. So with one score, when ball passes the border once, we will get plus, I don't know, maybe 1000 score. Then we hear the sound of the scoring, and we'll get score plus plus, so the score will increase by 1. And ball's y delta will become 0, so that it doesn't hit the wall while it passes the border, and we don't hear the touching of the wall sound. Same thing for the first player. And whenever we get score after 1000 milliseconds, which is equal to 1 second, by set timeout function, we will call this restart function here for both cases. So what does this function do? If game data is score is false, so it is it changed the game data is score to false, and x and y, and turns x and y back to 630 and 300, so that it goes back to its beginning position. And then it changes its x delta and y delta back to the starting one. So it chooses the new x delta and y delta, and the game starts again. So that's pretty much everything about this code. And I hope it was clear how the PONG game works, and I think this code is very simple, and everyone can write it by himself or herself. So thank you everyone so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next video.